Are you a thoughtful leader? Maybe you are. Maybe you think you are. Let's find out. I'm Mindy Gibbins-Klein. I'm author of The Thoughtful Leader and host of the Thoughtful Leader podcast. Thoughtful leadership is all about thought leadership that goes above and beyond. Thought leadership that is truly new and original, exciting, disruptive, maybe even groundbreaking. Because let's face it, we need to raise the bar. My guests and I are absolutely obsessed with finding truly original thought leadership, and I'm going to bring you so many exciting ideas and opportunities, things for you to think about, and chances for you to push your thinking that you'll be very glad you tuned in. So thanks so much for checking out Thoughtful Leadership and the Thoughtful Leader podcast. I look forward to connecting with you very, very soon. Thoughtful and profitable. That's the goal. Well, I hope that's your goal. I'm here to talk to you today about how being thoughtful can lead to more profit. You may have already figured this out for yourself, but I'm going to expand on the ideas in the Thoughtful Leader. And I'm going to go through a few very specific scenarios that hopefully will resonate with you, and then you can implement them in your own life and business and see more profit. So first of all, if you are running your own business, if you're a founder, entrepreneur, plain old business owner, then you will be looking at this and listening to this information in a different way. If you're employed, it could still be lucky for you that I'm talking about entrepreneurship. So if you don't have your own business, perhaps you want to think of yourself as being your own business. So being a freelancer, even if you're not, if you are in an employed position, just think you may not be there forever. So you are the owner of your career. Does that help? Because I really want to speak to everybody and make sure that you feel empowered to act on some of these ideas, or to at least think about them as if you could act and you have some kind of control, because we do. We usually have more control than we think. So here we go. How does being more thoughtful result in more profitability? Well, firstly, in the Thoughtful Leader, I talk about two types of thoughtfulness. One is putting more thought into your interactions, into your relationships, being considerate and considering people. And the other type is putting more thought into your content and into your products, services, business, whatever, but thought leadership with more thought in it. So putting more consideration into what you put out there. And let's face it, whether you're employed or running a business, as I said, it's the same. You still are the owner of your career. And you actually get to benefit when your business does well, or your career. Okay? So this is for you, no matter what your situation is. The idea of being more thoughtful and linking it right from the beginning to profit is worthwhile. Of course, it's a good idea to be thoughtful anyway, so let me address that. Even if I hadn't used the word profitable in this podcast episode, do you think you would enjoy listening to ideas on how to be more thoughtful? Of course, because if you've heard any of the other episodes, that is the whole raison d'etre of this series. How to be more thoughtful, why people need to be more thoughtful, why we need more thoughtful people in society, why we need a more thoughtful approach. So that's what I'm talking about. And if it results, or when it results in more profit, then it's an extra payoff. It's like a bonus. It's up to you. If you want to think profit first, and that's the reason why you want to be thoughtful, I'm not going to judge you. I'm telling you, and I'm explaining in this episode why the two things are related, why it does lead to profitability. Okay, so let's split it into the two aspects of thoughtfulness. Let's talk about the people first. That's not the way the book does it, but I really want to focus on that because in a previous episode, I spoke about putting people first, and I'm aiming to do more of that. So I'm thinking of you, and you can be thinking of the people in your life or the people that you're interacting with. People first. Being more thoughtful, let's just take a colleague example. You know, the colleagues who are always hitting you up for answers, information, always interrupting you, always calling when you are too busy. Maybe they have a different personality from you. I'm just trying to pick out some examples. But think about the colleague situation, somebody who is a team member in the same team as you, or who you have to work with to deliver a project. Now, simply putting more thought into that person is going to pay off. What it means is you can take a little extra time to think about them as a person. Does that sound weird? Of course, they're a person, but many times we forget this. And I've noticed this in business. We say the word colleague, and in a way that detaches us from the personal aspect, or my team member, my coworker. So naming them and keeping them in your thoughts with their name is a good start. But actually, really aiming to get to know them as a person, putting that thought into it. I talk about getting people a card or a gift or recognizing them on their birthday. I talk about this quite a lot. But in one of my companies, it was only recently that we asked everyone for their birthday. We knew most of the birthdays, but I was a bit shocked and embarrassed that there were some team members, there we go again, whose birthdays I didn't know. And therefore, I couldn't even wish them a happy birthday with a text, never mind a card. So we've put that right. So I recommend that you think about the people you work with as people. And what can you do? Well, get to know them, get to know their personality. If you've done Myers-Briggs or DISC or Belbin or Colby or one of the personality profiles, maybe you can read up on how you interact with someone who has a different personality. Again, going back to what we've said before, it has to be important enough for you to even do that. If the relationship is important, you'll do it. And if you feel the relationship is not important, maybe have a think about that. Because if you work together or need to deliver a project or a product or service together, it kind of is important or should be important. You know, I don't use that word a lot, but could it become more important? Could you raise it up the priority scale? And then can you deliver more? Well, it's my firm belief, which is based on experience, that when you do have a great working relationship, things happen better and faster. That's happened in so many projects that I've been a part of and projects that I've run, where you can bring that project in on time or even early. When there's a good communication and mutual respect, you can, in fact, deal with any issues that come up, or somebody might not be afraid to bring up an issue to you. I like to say that I'm approachable, but there could be people who don't think I am. So I'm always aware of that, and I'm always stating what I think is the obvious. And I just had to say to somebody on my team recently, you are empowered. I empower you. And please come to me if it's something that I can help with, but please trust yourself. I had to actually spell it out. Well, I felt I had to spell it out, so I did. What about you? What about the relationships where there's a bit of friction, where there's something that's niggling, that's not quite right, or you avoid each other, or can't carry on like that, can it? The thoughtful leader takes a deep breath, ready? Take a deep breath with me, and deals with the situation. I know, it's not easy. If it were easy, everybody would be a thoughtful leader and we would have world peace. And I'm working on it. Trust me, I'm working on it. But if you do your bit and the next person makes a bigger effort than they were before, and everybody is conscious of this and consciously aiming to get better at this, then we do improve as a society. I really believe that. So you just do your bit. Don't worry about anybody else. And think about the relationships. And the fact of the matter is, as I spoke about in a previous episode, you're going to benefit and so are they. But you're going to benefit too. Just being relaxed and getting rid of that atmosphere or that issue that always comes up when you deal with that person. And in fact, creating more profit together. If you're relaxed, more oxygen will probably flow to your brain. You'll be laughing and smiling more. You'll have better ideas. Hey, isn't this exciting? Do you need more innovation? Will innovation create more profitability? You don't want to brainstorm with somebody that you don't like, I'm guessing. So how could you learn to like them more? Or turn it around. How could you get them to like you more? Oh, yes. It works both ways. So that's the people side of it. Now let's talk about the thought that you put into your communications. There's many, many aspects to this, but right now I just want to talk about when you're writing, when you're posting something on social media or writing an article or a book, or when you're speaking, either in person, one-to-one, to a group, virtually, doesn't matter. When you are putting a message across, if you put more thought into it, don't you think that you can create a better result, a more profitable result? I know you know this, right? So putting that profit to the front of your mind when you are planning anything. When I was planning this episode, so I'll tell you what goes on behind the scenes. I have to have a plan every time I speak. Otherwise, I wouldn't be walking the talk, as they say. Eating my own dog food. Don't like that expression so much. Preaching, no. Anyway, I walk the talk. I don't want to preach to you. So I would rather just share. And I began to think about these two aspects, and I began to think about, okay, what am I willing to share? What am I actually willing to share on a personal level? Will I tell you the story about the birthdays? I decided yes. Will I tell you the story about having to spell it out and be very articulate about empowering someone? The answer was yes. So I've shared that. What about you? What about you? When you have to plan that talk or that article or that blog or even that short post, you might be thinking, no, I don't plan my posts on Facebook or Instagram. Hopefully you do even put a little bit of thought into it. But what if you put extra thought into the ones that you really want to deliver? I'll talk about two different scenarios in business. And remember, you are the business owner, even if your business is your career. First one is when you are persuading someone, when you're trying to persuade someone, when you're selling, and let's face it, we all have to sell our ideas as well as products and services. That is a great time to put extra thought in before you are in the situation and in front of the other person or the group. So putting the extra thought into how you want to say something. And this is where, if you've done the personality profile work and you've analyzed or just glanced at the other person's profile, if you just spend a few moments thinking about what they're like. Do they want you to talk fast? Are they the kind of person who wants lots of energy and they'll respond to something like this? Or are they more laid back? And it will be more beneficial for you both to slow everything down, which doesn't work for everybody. But thinking about it in advance is useful. And that's just one aspect. But understanding the kind of person they are, understanding their drivers, their motivators. Are they a family person? Is it always family first? Are they talking about their family all the time and doing things with family? Photos of their family, and you can tell. Or is it somebody who's very, very career driven or really and rightly proud of their career or their business or products? Whatever it is, think about it, acknowledge that, and then plan what you're going to say and how you're going to say it based on that. This may seem like common sense, but as some wise people have said well before this podcast episode, common sense is not all that common. So how can we be uncommonly thoughtful? How can we be thoughtful, go above and beyond what most people would do, and think about things in a different way? You are in a really, really great position because you are choosing to put your message across. And I really hope I see you on the speaking circuit, on a stage, even a virtual stage, and I get to see you putting these ideas into action, into practice. That's what we want to see. More thoughtful people out there speaking, because I won't spend a lot of time on it, but think about all of those people who are just speaking without thinking. Yeah, we don't need more of that. So we talked about persuading people, and if you're on a stage and you're selling something, even selling an idea, it is helpful to think and plan a bit more than you normally would. If you have a pitch, so if you are going to upsell or sell from the stage, and you really want to make that clear, that needs extra attention. What are the words that people will respond to? What are the stories that you want to include? How will people be able to benefit from those stories? What else could you think about before you deliver that sales pitch? So incentives, for example. I write about this in The Thoughtful Leader. An estate agent or a real estate company who decided that it would be a good idea to offer a free gym membership to people who were selling their house. Now, my thought immediately was, but the person selling the house is going to be moving somewhere else. So how does that gym membership fit? And it occurred to me, maybe they didn't think about that as much as they could have. Maybe they did. Maybe I misread it. But I remember that very clearly. So what incentives have you got? We do bonuses in my companies. People who sign up on a particular day or, there's something special we do. We'll give them a book, a free book, or an extra session or things like that, because people really like that. But we think about it. Some people really don't care or need whatever it is that you were thinking of offering. So put that extra thought in. Here's the place where many people ask me, well, should I just ask my audience? Should I do a focus group? Or you can, but many times people don't even realize what it is that they would like or need. And it's your job, if you feel very strongly about your proposition, to put that thought in and share with people. I'm doing it now, if you haven't realized, because my idea is you can do market research, but sometimes the results you get aren't relevant because people don't even know what they need or want. Does this make sense at all? I hope it does. I operate my business in this way, and I did study marketing, and I was in corporate marketing for over 15 years. But there are many times when you cannot predict how the market is going to respond. You probably know that I run a few book-related businesses, including a publishing company. And one thing that is certain in publishing is that you never really know which books are going to take off. And here's my proof of this. The books that get a lot of time, attention, and money thrown at them, the big marketing budget, they don't always do as well as people hope, as the publishers would hope. It's very hard to guarantee success with books, especially with so many coming out, but that's another story. On the flip side, we occasionally, or quite often really, have books take off and do very well that were not forecasted to do so well. That's a wonderful problem to have. But the other one is more serious, where you've spent a lot of money and that product just doesn't deliver the way you thought it would. So you can put all this planning in and you just never know. And I'm not sure if people had been asked the question, would they buy it? I don't know if we could have improved those results. There is definitely a place for market research and forums and focus groups and asking your customers what they would like. But if I were you, I wouldn't put that much emphasis on it. So I think I'm going to leave it there just with one final thought for you. This is all about profitability. And I have plenty of contacts and friends who are profit experts. Just contact me if your business needs to make more profit. I will put you in touch with the right person. Don't worry about that. But for right now, ask yourself what more profit would mean to you, because there are different ways to go after it and get to that profit. More clients, more sales, a higher price, a higher margin. That's about the extent of it. So is it important to you? And do you need to put more thought into the various aspects of working with, interacting with your clients and prospects, and how you deliver your message in writing and spoken? That's what you can think about, and that's what you can control. And I wish you the very best of luck, as I always do, running your business out there in the world. Thank you for being a risk taker. Thank you for taking the leap, and good luck. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Thoughtful Leader, and I hope it's inspired you to be more thoughtful as a leader in your business. Please consider subscribing and leaving a review. An important question for you. Do you want to create a culture of thought leadership in your organization? My best-selling book, The Thoughtful Leader, is available now on Amazon and many other sites in paperback, ebook, and audiobook formats. Please visit www.mindygk.com for more great content. That's www.mindygk.com. Speak to you again soon.